Hello friends, good morning to all of you. So friends, welcome back to Anthropology PYQ series. So friends, myself Dr. Sriram, I'm the faculty of Anthropology at Sriram's IAS. So I welcome you all to this session on behalf of Sriram's IAS. So friends, as a part of our Anthropology PYQ series, now let us take up one important question and let's try to understand that in a systematic fashion. So can you able to recollect our basic aim and objective? It's nothing but let's decode every question and let's master every concept. So with that theme, we are proceeding. So those who are joining for the new, so you can just check the earlier classes also, earlier videos also, where you can get guidance for other important questions that have been asked in 2025. So first, let us proceed with the question of the day with us. So what's the question of the day that's there with us? So let's see for the first. So look at the question. So what's the question here? So the question is nothing but how anthropologists assess the nutritional status of a community and discuss the significance of the intersectionality of ecology, culture and social inequality in the study of nutritional anthropology. So this is the basic question that is there with us. Now, how to proceed with this and what is the basic approach that you have to adapt? So let's try to explore that. So can you able to just recollect the syllabus portion or the central theme of the question? So what's the central theme of the question? The central theme of the question is that the question is systematically asking us to highlight about the concept of nutritional anthropology. So what you can do in the very introduction, you can systematically talk about the nutritional anthropology. So that's one thing that you have to do. Then in the body portion, there are two important sections of the question. So look at this part. How anthropologists assess the nutritional status of community. So this is first part of the answer that you have to mention. So where what you have to write there, you have to systematically mention various ways of assessment of nutritional status in the community. So this should be the first part of your answer. Then the second part of the answer should be talking about this particular part of the question. So where we should highlight about the intersectionality of ecology, culture and social inequalities in the study of nutritional anthropology. That means how ecology, culture and social inequalities will determine the nutritional status of the people. So that's the basic demand. So in the second part of your body, so you have to mention that in a systematic fashion. So further, what you have to do, in the conclusion, you have to systematically highlight the significance of the nutritional anthropology in the realm of anthropology. So how does it help for the anthropologists as well as for the policy makers in making and shaping the policies? So that's how you can conclude the answer. So this is the basic approach, how you can proceed. I hope that is clear to you all now. Now, let us proceed with the basic understanding of the basic concepts. Like what is nutritional anthropology? From there, let's start and let's try to explore what is the basic objective and aim of the nutritional anthropology. So first, friends, let's begin with understanding what is nutritional anthropology. So there, basically, if you see from the perspective of it, so nutritional anthropology. So where you can see this particular topic, can you able to recollect? Nutritional anthropology, it's a subfield of anthropology which systematically discusses or which systematically looks into the interplay or the relationship that exists between the human biology, human culture and the human diet. So that's the basic objective of the nutritional anthropology. So here you should remember this, that. So what is it? So in very simple fashion to say, it's a subfield of anthropology. It's a subfield of anthropology, so which systematically explores or tries to study the interplay that we say, or you can also mention the relationship. So interplay between three important aspects. What are those three important aspects? The interplay between first, it is nothing but human biology. And the second thing is nothing but human culture. And in the similar fashion, it links or it highlights the relationship with both of these with the human diet. So this is the basic subject matter of the nutritional anthropology. So I hope that is clear to you now. So it systematically highlights what's the relationship that exists between human biology, human culture, and human diet. So this is the key aspect that you should remember. Then furthermore, what does it do? So nutritional anthropology as a subfield of anthropology, it tries to explore something more. So what is it explores? So we have a lot of ecological and cultural factors. So the ecological factors and the cultural factors that helps to shape the food habits, the nutritional status, as well as the health outcomes of the people. So that's very, very important aspect. So this is first thing. So we try to understand what is it. So this is the question. Then what does it explore? That means the objective, or what is its basic study. What's the objective? So if you see, so what does it do? So it tries to explore, or it explores how ecological and cultural factors, shapes the human dietary practices as well as nutritional status, and further health outcomes. So this is the basic objective of the nutritional anthropology. So now, I hope it is clear to you all now. So what does it do? This is the basic objective of it. So it tries to explore how ecological factors will shape the human dietary practices and how the cultural factors will shape the human dietary practices. And apart from this, it tries to explore about the nutritional status of the people, so in the society. So that is very basic important aspect that you should remember till here. So hope it is clear to you all now. Then further, so you can just introduce with these basic aspects. So you can take up the help of some of these scholars and you can just mention. So some of the important scholars that you can pitch in the nutritional anthropology. Let's say for example, Nancy Sheffer-Hughes. So she was one nutritional anthropologist. She worked in the realm of anthropology. And in the similar fashion, you can also talk about Paul Farmer. So he is another important nutritional anthropologist. So like that, you can pitch and mention about some of the important nutritional anthropologists there. Is that clear? Now further, let's try to understand and let's try to move further and let's explore about the other aspects. Now, in the body portion of the answer, so what you have to do? So you have to talk about the assessment or how you can assess the nutritional status. So ways of assessment. So you have to just talk about assessment of nutritional status. So how do anthropologists will do? So what are the various ways through which how we can assess the nutritional status of the community? So that means anthropologists. So if you see that, so we can have two broad ways of assessment of the nutritional status. So what are those two broad ways? So first way is nothing but it's the basic biological assessment of the nutritional status. So first it is the biological assessment. And second one, it is nothing but socio-cultural assessment. biological assessment and sociocultural assessment. So these are nothing but two important ways of assessment of the nutritional status. So hope you should catch this now. Now, what are the different ways of biological assessment? So how nutritional anthropologists assess the nutritional status biologically? So that's one important aspect. So there are different ways. So first, if you see, one important method is nothing but anthropometry. So the first and foremost way is nothing but anthropometry or anthropometric methods. So what are these anthropometric methods? Now try to catch this logic. So the anthropometry means it's systematic measurement of the bodily and physical features. So let's say height is a kind of bodily feature. Weight is the bodily feature. So what anthropologists will try to do, so you might have heard about these basic aspects like body mass index. Have you heard about that? So body mass index, so height to weight ratio, we will try to systematically do that. So what is the height of the child? What is the weight of the child? So in children also we can do like that. So that's how what we can do is that anthropometry is one biological assessment method, and anthropometric methods you can remember like that. So anthropometric methods. So examples for the anthropometric methods. Actually we can have two basic types of anthropometric methods here. So we can use this for the children as well as for the adults. So in children what you can do, so in children you can proceed with things like systematic studying of stunting, wasting, child stunting, child wasting and anemia, such kind of aspects. Right? So these are some of the methods that you can do in children. Then further, if you see from the perspective of the adults, so in adults what you can do, how you can assess. So the basic way of assessment of the anthropometric mesh methods in adults is, one example is you can have, that is body mass index, BMI studies. So apart from this, you can also check the other lipid profile kind of things, like let's say for example, so checking the obesity levels like that. So these are some of the important anthropometric methods. So you have to just mention about them. So what is stunting, what is wasting, what is anemia, so all such kind of aspects you can mention. So here you can also pitch the anemia also here. So try to just have it in the list. So this is one important thing. So furthermore, if you see what could be the other important methods, anthropometric methods. So the second method that you can remember here is that biochemical analysis and biochemical methods. So what are those biochemical methods? So biochemical methods. So the biochemical methods include various aspects, like let's say for example, so blood sample or urine culture or urine sample, so etc. So blood tests, urine tests, all such kind of aspects you can pick and you can mention. So that is the biochemical method. Furthermore, so you can have some clinical observations. So that is another important aspects. Clinical observations. Observation method. So when you go to a clinic, basically doctors will be checking for some aspects, like let's say for example they will check your eyes. So they will check whether you are anemic or not. So whether check you have any symptoms of goiter or not, you have any symptoms of any sort of like a bluish skin, or they will check the nails, all such kind of things. So all those clinical methods will help to assess the nutritional status. So that's one important aspect. So clinical observation method. So that is another important thing that you should remember. Right? So furthermore, so what we have to see? So we can further explore or we can further assess this with the dietary studies. So what is this dietary studies? So in dietary surveys, we will systematically go and we will systematically pick up the dietary habits of the different sections of the people. So there we will understand it in a systematic fashion. Then furthermore, so we can also think about and understand about functional indicators. So these are nothing but basic ways of assessment of nutritional status in a biological way. So that is, one thing is the functional indicators. You can mention about various functional indicators, and you can also mention about the dietary surveys. So these are some of the biological assessment methods, right? Furthermore, so what are the various socio-cultural assessment methods and how you can just assess the nutritional status? So anthropologists will usually involve in some sort of ethnographic. They will involve in ethnographic field surveys. And in their ethnographic field works, they will try to catch up some of the important practices, so traditional or customs, traditions and customs, and through that they can assess the nutritional status. For example, if you happen to take at some of the things like Gonds, so usually Gond tribal people, they will systematically avoid consumption of papaya. So they won't consume papaya, thinking that it may lead to miscarriages or abortions. So this kind of food practices or this kind of socio-cultural practices that helps or that breeds some sort of nutritional deficiency amongst them. So some of the tribes, they will consider milk as something that we should not consume. So such aspects will deprive them from in certain nutritional aspects. So furthermore, then how we can do, so we can have, we will just proceed with some household food security surveys. So although this kind of household food security surveys are mostly done by the sociologists, but this also is one of the important method that we can adapt in the anthropology also. So where the anthropologists or the sociologists are the survey person, they will go to the households and they will inquire about various food security aspects. So to what extent, how much or what quantity they consume or what type of food they consume. So all that will be part and parcel of this particular service. So furthermore, so sometimes like participant observation method. So through participant observation methods also we can assess the nutritional status socioculturally. So here what happens, an anthropologist becomes part and parcel of the culture and he tries to explore or she tries to explore about the culture by becoming part and parcel of the community. So that's where, so anthropologist himself will adapt the dietary practices, himself will just experience the aspects. So there it becomes another important tool of assessment of the nutritional status directly. So that becomes a kind of first-hand observation and that becomes a first-hand experience. So that's one another important. So this is how the nutritional status of a community or the basic nutritional status of different societies or communities can be assessed by the anthropologists. So this is the first part of the answer. So I hope like what is nutritional anthropology you have understood and what is the basic subject matter of nutritional anthropology you have understood. So this is the first part of the your body. So look at the question again, how anthropologists assess nutritional status of a community. So now we have understood that. So further, in the second part of the answer, you should talk about this. What about the intersectionality of ecology, culture and social inequality in the study of nutritional anthropology? So now let's move on to the second part of the question. So if you systematically see from the perspective of the nutritional anthropology, in the nutritional anthropology, if you systematically see, so ecology, culture, and or social inequalities. So if you see these things, so it would be the ecology. So, okay, the board is strict. So if you see in nutritional anthropology, so systematically ecology, social inequality, and our basic human social inequalities, they will systematically, they one minute. So there is a systematic intersectionality between the ecology and then social inequality and the culture. So this is another important aspect that the nutritional anthropology checks. So where, what happens? So, okay. So give me a minute. So okay, now when we see in the nutritional anthropology, so ecology and culture, and we will have the social inequality. So these three things, there is a kind of systematic intersection. So these aspects or these factors will systematically shape the nutritional status of this society. So this intersectionality that you can see, so this is where we can find the exact nutritional status of a community. So how, why? Because in simple fashion to say, so ecology determines the nutrition, culture shapes the nutrition, and social inequalities highlights the nutritional status. So let's try to understand that in a systematic fashion. So first, let's try to understand this logic. So first, what is the intersectionality between the ecology and nutrition? Ecology and nutrition. So when we systematically see this, so basically various ecological and environmental factors, they will determine the nutritional status of the community. So how? First, let's try to check an example. So let's say, for example, if you assume a community is living in the forest area, let's say in a forest. So in the forest area, so mostly let's say the tribal sections, those who are living in the forest area, they'll be adapting to a kind of different subsistence modalities. So shifting cultivation like that. So this ecological setup, they will with this they will try to adapt some dietary practices. So that shapes their dietary practice. So what does the ecology will do? So in a systematic or in a simple fashion, ecology determines human diet, and human diet, this further helps to assess the nutritional status. So apart from determining the human diet, so ecology also determines the mode of subsistence. So let's say, for example, if a community is living in the coastal area, so they will rely on fishing. So fish becomes their primary mode of food or dietary intake. So in the similar fashion, assume if a person is just staying in Arctic area, so they'll be hunting seals and they will be having fishing, small fishing kind of activities. So this is how ecology determines the human diet, and again human diet will help in assessment of the nutritional status. So this is how you should remember the basic aspects. So in the similar fashion, if you see furthermore, so we have culture. What is the intersectionality of culture and human culture and nutrition? So you should mention, so how both of them are interlinked. So further, if you see here, so basically what happens, culture shapes the food practices and nutrition. So this is one key thing you have to remember. So human culture shapes the food and dietary preferences. So why does culture shapes the food and dietary preferences? Because culture is a learned and transmitted and shared aspect. Can you able to recollect that? Culture is learned, culture is transmitted, and culture is shared. So here, whatever the cultural practice that is being adapted by the earlier generation, same thing will be adapted. Let's say for example, if a community is vegetarian community, then all the people belonging to that community, they will proceed with the vegetarianism diet. So this shapes, so all the next generations also will become vegetarians. So if you happen to be in a non-vegetarian family, so your culture is accustomed for non-vegetarian food. So like that, so culture shapes the food and dietary practices. So that is one important aspect that you should remember. Is that clear for you? So in the similar fashion, in simple fashion to say, cultural patterns are the food patterns. Here what you can remember, food patterns are learned from the culture and shared from one generation to another generation. So this is how, if we can systematically understand the culture of a community, so this further helps in assessment of the nutrition or nutritional status. So can you able to catch the logic? So this is one important aspect. So this is how culture and nutrition are interlinked. So furthermore, if you see social inequalities, so social inequality also furthermore it shapes the nutrition. So let's say third one, so it is the social inequalities. So and nutrition, how does it shape? So there are so many social inequalities that are prevailing in the society. So be it could be from the point of caste-based inequality, gender-based inequality, or income-based inequalities. So all of them will help to assess the nutritional status. First, let's say for example, social inequalities. So what are these social inequalities? Caste-based, so you can have, or you can have things like gender-based, or you can have the income-based, like that. So in income-based, you can have the people, rich people and the poor people. So that's one thing, relative poverty. So gender-based, females and males. So that's one thing. And caste-based, so dominant castes and the submissive castes, like that. So what happens in the income, let's say for example, if it is income-based, so there we can have two types of people. So rich and poor, or relative poverty point of view we are talking. So rich people can have good access to the good dietary practices and healthy dietary practices, and their health outcomes will be very good, and that way so they will become they'll have the good nutrition, whereas the poor people, they'll be deprived of the income sources. So due to that, they'll be relying on some suboptimal levels of diet, so which further makes them to have a kind of a little less diet. So that's one important aspect. So in gender, so usually if you see, so males and females. So what happens here? So usually in the society there is a kind of discrimination, gender discrimination. Females are not subjected. Let's say for example, girl child will not be given such a nutrition food in similar way to the boy children. Can you able to catch that? So that kind of inequalities also prevails. So that's how what happens here. So there is a kind of gender based inequality, so which further helps in creating variations with respect to the human diet that further shapes the nutritional status. And furthermore, so caste based. So certain castes have good access to the nutrition and good access to the good diet. So some submissive castes do not have this. So this is how. So there is a kind of systematic intersection between the ecology, social inequalities and culture that through which we can systematically understand the nutritional status of a community. So this is what you should mention and this is what you have to highlight. So this is where, friends, nutritional anthropology as a subfield in anthropology, it tries to explain an intricate relationship between the ecology, culture and the social inequalities. So through this way, so what we can systematically say, so nutritional anthropology tries to explain how human biology is shaped further by human culture and how the human biology and human culture determines the human diet, and together all of them will be determined by human environment. So there is a kind of relationship between all of them. So this is how, this is one important aspect that you should catch. So human environment, human culture, human diet and human biology. So all of them, so they are intricately interlinked and they have a kind of systematic connection between them. So this is the basic subject matter of our nutritional anthropology. Nutritional anthropology. So like this, you have to highlight the importance of it in a systematic fashion, right? So that's all for this particular question that you should and you may mention. Is that it clear for you all? So is there any doubts, those who have joined in online? So the question was how, in what ways anthropologists can assess the nutritional status of the community. So we have understood that ways in a systematic fashion, and then furthermore we have understood what is the intersectionality between the ecology, culture and social inequalities in assessment of the nutritional status. So that was the question. So this is where, like, let's try to wind off. So friends, so I hope you're just catching the essence. So what I would want you is try to write answers for these questions and try to share. So practice makes a man perfect. So try to just answer whatever it comes your way. So you should not look for the perfection. Again, I am saying that if you look for the perfection, perfection is a utopic concept. UPSC doesn't want perfectionists. UPSC wants the consistent and effortful people. So if you fail in putting your efforts, so how can you just achieve success? So that's what I wanted to share with you. So maintain consistency, try to write and try to just get into the habit of writing. So that's what our basic objective and aim also. So let's wind off the discussion for today. So let's meet tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. and let's discuss another important question. So till then, revise all the portions and write answers for the other questions also. So thank you all for joining me with this session.